All right,
Yeah.
I'm going live.
Ooh.
We are going live. We are live on Facebook. So excited for this morning's guest. I will tell you right now, wherever you're coming from, and you can comment below where you're tuning in from. We have got just an incredible soul today. So I would say share it. Start sharing. You'll be glad that you did. She's going to bring it. Alyssa's one of the most passionate people that I have met in terms of helping people really elevate their life just from the inside out, and so many exciting things from health and wellness with the physical realm, as well as like mentally, what she does with people, helping them stop a lot of their barriers is really exciting. So we will be starting our show here in just a minute. Thank you so much, Alissa, for tuning in with us. And these will be broadcasted later on YouTube and live. Let me go ahead and share this on my page. And if you go to my timeline, Alissa, it's there if you want to share it, because I had it in our Live Elevated group.
Let's see if I can find it, because I want to share it too.
Yes, ma'am. So it's right on my personal timeline. If you go there, that is where I just shared it to.
There we are.
So while Alissa is sharing that, just to give you guys a little bit of background. So I love when I first met her, someone said like, oh yeah, freaking awesome. And I saw her wearing a shirt that said freaking awesome. And I was like, that's freaking awesome. And I had no idea that this was something she had built a brand around when I first met her, I guess over a year ago, about 14 months ago at Best Year Ever Blueprint, Hal Elrod's annual event. That was over in San Diego. And she is seriously freaking awesome. So, but she really believes that every individual is as well, and so she's been featured on different podcasts and segments. She actually now is regularly on a TV segment. She's in tons of major blogs, publications, and podcasts like all over the globe. But she is an accomplished success coach. She's a speaker. She's a host of the Freaking Awesome Entrepreneur podcast. She also is a published author, and her book is From Frustrated to Freaking Awesome: 4 Steps to Achieve Your Success You're Wired For. But what she's most proud of, and I know I got a chance to spend some time with her this past August, and she's just so passionate about beautiful marriages, family. She's got 2 gorgeous daughters, and so she's a proud wife and an amazing mom that she guides, and as she's going through her, as she keeps evolving, and going through her elevation and expansion, constantly sharing that with those around her. So I'm super excited, Alissa, again, to have you today here with us. So I'd love if we could get a little just kind of background on where this all started. So your book, talks about from frustrated to freaking awesome. So if we can start kind of there, and what started that journey for you, and really where the turnaround, the trajectory changed, right? From just being like, oh, because I always share with people, I feel like there's 4 reasons people don't achieve to their full potential. And one of them is that people feel they were just dealt a bad deck of hands, or like they're just in a, it's like, why is this happening to me? But they stay there. They stay there, and they're never able to achieve where they want to. So tell us about that.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me, and for that glorious intro. I am passionate about a lot of things. So it's just kind of my jam, is like full on energy, passion, and let's go. Right. It's interesting. I've told this story, a bunch of times about, where I started and where I am now. And every single time I look back and I'm like, dang, the distance that I have come from, this really, I shouldn't say I was ever timid, but inside I was, if that makes sense. Right. So even if we're outspoken, even if we're outgoing, if on the inside, we really feel like I'm never, ever good enough. And, you kind of really are fearful to let yourself out and shine. That's the girl I was. So I was this really outspoken, outwardly confident young woman. And yet on the inside, I was like a little mouse. So I spent over a decade in healthcare and always loving to help people. So that has always been at the core of my being. Um, and, about the age of 30, I found myself going through a divorce, with two tiny little kids, finishing nursing school. And, it was really like a showstopper. Suddenly I wasn't where I was supposed to be. I'd followed all the rules and I'd checked all the things that I was supposed to check, degree, get married, get a house, get kids, like check, 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 check,
Right.
which sounds really awful, right? Like, oh, you got married because you were supposed to. But
I
if
made that
we're
mistake too.
if we're really honest, there's a lot of us who have done that, and no fault of our own. We're trying to live up to other people's expectations, and it's not to say that I didn't love the man that I married. It wasn't like I was like, oh, okay, just got to check the box. And he and I are no longer married, but we are truly like best friends. So I'm really proud of that aspect too. That's a conversation for another day. But I finally was in this place where I was like, something doesn't fit. Something's not right. What do I do? How do I fix this?
Right.
And I began going on this self-development journey. Fast forward 10 years later, here I am with my own business and extremely passionate about people really being able to shine in their own element. And
Mhm.
the Marianne Williamson quote that everybody quotes about, our biggest fear is not that we're not good enough, but basically that we are so much more than we think we are.
Right.
And letting people giving people permission to let that out, right? Because my shining brightly doesn't diminish from you shining brightly.
Absolutely.
And people are fearful of not only stepping out and being brave and getting noticed, because then they're open to criticism, right? But they're also afraid of making other people feel small if they show up big. And, so what I love to share with people is that, it just makes the world shine brighter when you are willing to step up and shine brightly. And it gives other people permission around you to also go, you know what, I can step up and shine brightly too. And so that's where the whole freaking awesome thing is. And when I go and I give talks, I literally make the crowd stand up and say, I'm freaking awesome. And look into each other's eyes and tell one another that they're freaking awesome and really start to own it. And people are scared to do that because they don't understand the difference between confidence and arrogance. And here I'm going down this rabbit hole because again, I'm super passionate. And you just asked for my background, so I'll stop there. But
no, keep on, continue.
Oh my gosh! Well, we do get humility and meekness and arrogance and confidence all screwed up.
So
right?
huge. Talk more on that because amen, sister. And I have people all the time. They're like, well, I don't want to be arrogant. I'm like, confidence doesn't mean arrogant. It can't. Some people can cross that line, but those are two separate. So I'd love for you to speak more.
Yeah. So here's the definition of arrogance. The definition of arrogance is knowing that you're great and thinking that you're great. However, it's thinking that what you don't know doesn't matter. Right? And that's where we cross the line from confidence to arrogance, right? So in order for us to be confident, we also need to be open and aware to the fact that there's always more to learn and that people around you, no matter what their status is, have something to offer you that's new learning, new exposure, right? So that you can truly connect. So when we're confident and yet we look into somebody's eyes and say, hey, now what can you teach me? What can I learn from you? Now you can step up and be as confident as you want, and not a single soul out there is going to go, oh, but they're arrogant, because they can see, they can feel how you are interested in always learning more. Right.
Oh. Carolyn, hi. We got Carolyn Colleen out there.
Hey, Carolyn.
Love the energy.
So, and we talk about vulnerability a lot. We talk about authenticity. a lot.
Mhm.
And authenticity is almost one of those words that has become so overly used that it's a little nauseating. But authenticity is important, and the difference between authenticity and, speaking your truth, because we hear that a lot lately. Is speaking your truth, is yelling at people, right? And I find that when people say I'm just speaking my truth, is that they're really just spouting their opinion, but they're not actually sharing, right? So being authentic has an essence of vulnerability there, which is, again, I'm not everything. And this is actually my sort of my entire platform about being freaking awesome, is that you know what you are and you're also aware of what you're not, and both are okay. But being willing to say, hey, Kathy, you know what, I don't have this and this, and you do. Can you bring that to the table? Because I have these other great things to bring to the table, but I'm not everything, right? We're all this perfectly lopsided puzzle pieces. And if we were well-rounded, our sort of human puzzle would never ever fit together. So that's what makes our lopsidedness perfect, right? Is that we're not everything, but that's totally okay, because I get to honor you for what you are. You get to honor me for what I am. And together, like what we can accomplish together is outstanding. And
Mhm.
that's where being willing to stand up and say, I am freaking awesome. And this is why allows you to step into that brightness, and gives other people permission to step into their brightness as well, so that we can accomplish more together.
Absolutely. I could talk about this for like a whole other hour, which is a whole other topic. So we're going to have to come back for another session with you, because it's so true. Like we grew up in a world where it was like, I win, you lose. So I'm not going to, like, I can't do this because then you're not going to shine, right? Like it's like
Right.
one person only. And then I think society got to a place where it was like, all right, we can win-win, right? But what you're talking about, and I'm so passionate about collaboration, is that when people are collaborating, you can actually like win to the win. When you're owning your strengths, your talents, what you've been given, which
Yeah.
I want you to mention your strength finder, by the way, for anyone who wants to use that. But I believe each and every one of us has those strengths, those talents. And instead of hiding them because you're scared to like make someone else feel bad, when you put them out there and go, here's what I have, and how can I serve you? And you guys start sharing those resources, all of a sudden, boom, like you said, that explosion
Mhm.
happens. And it's like win to the winth power, which is coined by one of my great friends, Simca Gluck, who started the New Entrepreneur. He wrote the New Entrepreneurs, co-wrote it,
I love that.
and the Fresh Biz game. And they talk about win to the winth power when collaboration happens. It's like, it's not even, like win-win. It's exponential when we collaborate our strengths and talents. So if you
Yes.
can tell us a little bit about your strength finder, I mean, that's something that I heard
Yeah.
about immediately. Talk about that.
Yeah, the reason I fell in love with, because there's a bajillion now of these personality profiles, and there's all the kinds, right? The reason I fell in love with Strengths Finder is that it's a psychometric tool, which means that it actually has scientific backing. The scientific proof thing was really important to me. Now, why was it really important? Because I had such an ingrained limiting belief that everything was wrong with me, and that everything that was wrong in my life, right, was at the core is because I was flawed, right? And so when you have limiting beliefs, our brain's job, right, um is to reinforce our existing beliefs, not to remove them, right? So I needed something that was so hard evidence, right? Very tactical, very left brain, that was able to start chipping away at that limiting belief that everything was wrong with me. So the Strengths Finder profile, what it does is it helps you to see how you're naturally wired to behave. Right now, you can take this from a closed mindset, or you can take it from a growth mindset, right? Where like,
Right.
now, how do I build on those? So people with a closed mindset typically go, well, this is how I'm wired, so I guess this is all, this is it. But you can actually build on those naturally wired strengths. So your Strengths Finder is going to give you your how you go about doing whatever it is you do. So it's not going to say, oh, you should be an accountant, you should be this, you should be that. It's not going to give you what career you're gonna go in. That's comes from your heart, right? But what it will do is it
Or
say,
is how do you do things?
this is how you need to get to this goal, right? If you have connectedness, for instance, which is one of the 34 themes, you're going to get to your goals by connecting the dots, which is typically people, right? By getting out in nature where the ecosystem is all connected, right? And so it gives you some ideas about how to actually give energy to what you're doing, instead of, as many of when you get when you get into like the day-to-day of trying to achieve a goal, it can start to drain on your energy. So how do you keep that energy up? And a lot of people confuse that with motivation. But if you understand your wiring, now you can use that and leverage that in order to really achieve your goals with high energy. So that's why I fell in love with the Strengths Finder, and unloading that Strengths Finder and helping people understand not only their strengths but their weaknesses can really help them to advance their goals. So it's interesting because we have three different types of weaknesses. We have overuse of our strengths, right? When we have this easy button, right? Which is how we're naturally wired. I love that thing. And when we don't know what else to do, we typically hit that easy button over and over again. And then those strengths become weaknesses, right? And then we have underuse of our strengths, where we kind of get burnt out. And so we shut down how we're naturally wired. Imagine that. Now your biggest strengths, you're just not using. So it becomes a weakness. And then we have areas of non-strength. So by leveraging your strengths to their optimum, you're taking care of 2/3 of your weaknesses. Mm-hmm. Now the other third doesn't even matter, because I've got you, and I've got people like Carolyn. I've got people, all sorts of other people that can fill in those gaps, right? And so understanding that does allow us to fix our weaknesses, because we're leveraging our strengths in a much more effective way.
I love it. And by the way, if you can relate in any way, I don't know if Alyssa's on her own with everything's wrong with me, everything's wrong because I'm flawed. But if you can relate to that and you're watching this, comment hands up emoji. I know definitely I've gone through those times in my life where I'm like, gosh, like what's wrong with me? Right? Mm-hmm. Like things aren't going well. It's like, what's wrong with me? Yeah. And really realizing like nothing's wrong with me. Like maybe I wasn't doing things a certain way, or I didn't do the right process, or maybe I didn't understand something fully, but it's not that there's something wrong with you. And so that awareness is so huge. So again, we could talk about this for so long, but we're going to, I want to.
Can I take a second and nuance that because I think this is really important. So when I was back in that place of what's wrong with me, it was what's wrong with me as a human, not what was wrong. I wasn't looking at what was wrong with my behavior. Right. And so separating our behavior, which we can learn from our failures and move forward, et cetera. And I am as a human flawed. Those are two different things. And this is actually one of the things that I teach my daughters, right? When I'm upset with or disappointed with their behavior, that I always make sure to nuance. I love you and I like you as a human. You as a human are amazing. This behavior isn't so awesome. Right. Mm. And so that we can really begin to parse out the difference between our worth as a human and maybe some of our errors and bad behavior and behavior that doesn't serve us. So anyway, I just wanted to nuance that a little bit.
Awesome. So let's transition to the 4%, prioritizing 4% at a time. So, on our show, and we've hit on a lot of things, and thank you so much. Like for us, like live elevated, for me, it's about elevating our mental energy. It's about elevating our spiritual energy. It's about elevating our emotional energy and our physical energy. Yeah. So we have our, we like to do a lot of education and awareness around what's going to fuel those things, because obviously energy is the fuel of achievement. And for me, it's like elevate your energy, elevate your life, right? Mm-hmm. So I know for you, you've been doing all this work. And then last year you decided, I'm going to do this bodybuilding competition.
Why not?
Like on top of everything, let's just add a little extra stress and edge, Yeah. And you went into that. And, I hear so many people who are going out there and achieving and trying to get all this stuff done. Go, go, go. I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time to eat healthy. I don't have time to work out. And here you are, mother of two, wife, multiple businesses, going, speaking, traveling, masterminds, but still finding the time to work out, to take care of your body, to take care of your mental health, your physical health, all these components.
Right.
How do you get it done? So I'd love for you to share on that.
Right. So it really is a matter of priority. Right. And I think if we shift this idea of I don't have time to this is not a priority for me right now. Right. And
write that down. This is not a priority for me right now.
It's really important to understand the difference between the two. So 4% is 1 hour a day. It's 60 minutes. And so when you sit down and you're thinking about what are the biggest dreams I have? What are the biggest goals I have? If you're not willing to spend 4% of your day on your biggest dream, it ain't your biggest dream. Right. And it's not to say that every day is perfect. I missed a workout last week, and I'm not, I don't feel great about that. I can't say that in prep for my October walking across the stage, that I did it perfectly now. But you know what? It's okay because I'm still doing it with excellence. So, and I'm back on the wagon. I didn't throw it all out the window. Do you see what I'm saying? But what is your biggest dream worth? It should be worth 4% of your day. And if you're not willing to give it 4% of your day, I want you to really figure out, like, is it because it's not a priority for me? Or is there something else that's getting in my way that I need to address? Right? Because sometimes we do have fears. Like, what if I don't achieve this? Here, my goal for October is to get my pro card as a figure bodybuilding competitor. Like, that's not a little goal. That's not, that's not, and there's nothing to say that like, oh yeah, that's totally achievable. Like, there's a lot that says that is going to be darn near impossible. And I've put that out there. That is my goal. That is what I want. That is what I'm driving for. But, back it up 260 days. And that's like, I don't see the results of what I'm going to be walking on stage with. So you have to keep that in mind. And even though I don't see all the results of that today, that 4% is still worth it. And so, let's take this and talk about, maybe it's writing a book. Maybe you think, oh, I'm not a great, writer. Words don't flow out of me, yada, yada, yada. Who am I? I'm not the expert. 4% of your day over a year, and you will be an expert and you will be able to get that message out. So just because you're not at the pinnacle today doesn't mean that you should throw it away. You should still be spending that 4% of your day. Now, I'm also writing a couple of books this year too. So guess what? Writing gets 4% of my day. And that's so now that's 2 hours. Okay. So what else are my priorities? Right. And you have to figure out, what is my top priority? Is this actually a priority for me? And if it's not, that's okay, but let's get real about it. And if it is, and you're afraid for some reason you're not putting that time in, it's time to engage a coach to get you past that, or a mentor to get you past that. What are the strategies that you can use that you can actually have enough courage to give it 4%?
I love it. So could you walk us through like what your an average day looks like for you, for the person who is out there grinding, making things happen, has kids, has all this? How do you balance all that?
Yeah.
Just to walk through like a sample schedule of a day.
Yeah. So my alarm typically goes off at 4 a.m. And so I get up and I get breakfast and I get to the gym. And then, so the gym is about 15 minutes away. It's about 13 minutes away if I'm honest. Not that I have it all timed out. And I put in my 60 minutes at the gym, and I come home, I shower up, I get the kids up, get them off to school, etc. I'm down sitting at my desk and working for my morning and etc. And you have to pick one kid up at 12:30 from school to take her off to gymnastics, and back to school to pick the other one up. And gymnastics, by the way, is a half hour away. So we use that time in the car to connect. So that's relationship time. Anyway, that's a nuance, but no time is ever wasted unless unless you waste it. And then, oftentimes I am up at the gym. If I had a late night the night before, because I do believe your sleep is vital to your health. Sean Stevenson, who wrote the book Sleep Smarter, fantastic book. He underscores all the scientific reasons why sleep is the really underrated superhero in the health game. So if I don't get to bed by 9:30, and my alarm goes off at 4, well, that's not going to work if I'm going on 5 or 6 hours of sleep. So sometimes I do sleep in a little bit more, and I allow myself to work out while the girls are at gymnastics. And so being flexible to get, my workout in where it fits my family is important too. Yeah. And then, work is in the in-between, right? And so I do have time blocks carved out for that. And same with the book writing. So I actually have my book writing time scheduled in my Google Calendar from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. Not because I write from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m., but because I fit that hour and I drag it into a time block of the day.
Got it.
Right. So it doesn't have to be rigid. It just has to get done. So if I have from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. one day, then great. I slide that in there, and I know that appointment is for my book writing.
It's excellent. Well, like I said, I could sit here and talk to you for hours. But, I do want to respect your time as well. And I definitely would love to have you back on the show. I'd love to ask you if there's any, when it comes to somebody going out there, and if I said to you, what does it mean to you to live elevated? How would you describe that? And then also any last final thoughts that you have for our listeners here today? And by the way, if anyone's been watching, if you're on live, I see there's people on live right now, and there's a lot of people that listen to the replay. We'd love to see your questions below. Comment questions, because Alissa and I will go back and look at those and make sure to answer those for you, So write down questions on there. So again, even if you're not here live right now, you can still post questions after, and we'll check those out. We'd love to answer any questions you have. You have a comment from Dave Kristen saying, hey, great information. Thank you so much for sharing. Colleen, we have Spencer Kristen, just got like hands up. We've got others in here. I know it's been shared in different communities. So really excited about connecting with everybody. Any thoughts you have, if any questions pop up, I'll let you know right now. But thoughts from you, final thoughts for really the working professional, right? Like you have a family, you have a profession, and you really want to kick butt with your health. Any other thoughts besides what you've shared already, or anything you want to re-loop to reemphasize?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the simplest way to know whether you're living elevated. Are you living in a way that is aligned with your values?
Amen.
Right? And in order to know that, you actually have to explicitly figure out what your values are. And I would encourage you to consider the fact that if you don't have your health, then none of the rest of them, you're not going to be around for all the rest of the values that you have, right? But if at the end of the day, you can put your head down on the pillow and go, yeah, I'm aligned today. That is living elevated. So do the work to figure out what really are my biggest values. What is the thing that is most important to me, and live your life that way.
Awesome. I love it. Any other final thoughts? And I'd love for you to share where people can connect with you. And we can also type that on the video below so that people can find you, go to your website. You guys should definitely check out her Strengths Finders. That's something that she does with people. A great coaching tool that you can utilize to really help you see where you're pulling from, and just methodologies in order for you to achieve at your best levels and not feel completely drained of energy, because you're using those strengths, which helps fuel you.
Absolutely.
Right. So really knowing those things, she has great stuff for that. And then does additional different coaching. And I don't know if she does health coaching, but maybe she wants to help you be a physique.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of mindset coaching, right? But it's ultimately success coaching. What is your biggest goal? And, let's figure out a strategy to get there. So if people go to my website, daretosucceed.com, and that's Dare spelled like that, the number two, succeed.com. I actually have a workbook right on my website that you can figure out what are your values, and it takes you through a values exercise, which is really awesome, and all the other things that make you uniquely you. So you can check that out. You can also contact me on my website, or you can email me, Alissa at daretasucceed.com, and I will personally answer every email that gets sent my way. Yes, I do have strengths services where I help you to not just get your profile, but help you to unravel it so that it becomes a personal owner's manual. And that's what your Strengths Finder can be, is a personal owner's manual. So if you're interested in getting that tool and that manual, I'm happy to help with that. And of course, if you want to achieve your biggest goal, that's part of what I do. That's my jam. I love it. I love seeing people put their heads down on their pillow at the end of the night and go, yeah, well done. I'm living my life aligned.
Heck yeah. Awesome stuff, Alissa. I appreciate you again so much for taking time to be with us today and just share your wisdom and your heart with the world. And guys, share this, like it, comment. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway from this lifestyle class. I know there were so many great nuggets I wrote down. So share your biggest takeaway that you loved, tag a friend that you know could benefit from this, and share it so we can expand the conversation. So awesome. Thank you again so much.
Thank you, Kathy.
All righty. And let's see here.